Hello and aloha. Today time is 10:15. I think it's Sunday, May 29th. My name is Abbas Ali Tamori. I'm the elder of Baha'u'llah, his envoy on the earth to fix the problem that is in the Baha'i administration, which is the main instrument of the unity of the Baha'is in the world. And there's a problem with it. It's the most important talk today of all these videos, because this is the reason that my mission comes right into this talk today. If we don't understand this, we will never understand the Baha'i Faith, Baha'i administration. Without the Baha'i administration, which is the world order of Baha'u'llah, the minor plan of God will not work. Therefore, everything collapses. So we have to understand this if you're Baha'i, if you're responsible. And this is not here, things that I'm saying is not to criticize anybody. I think we're all into this from the member of Universal Laws of Justice to everybody else. We have to help each other to understand this, okay? I'm one of them. I try to do what I know. Today, if we talk to the Baha'is usually about was there any other guardian after Shoghi Effendi and whatnot, they say, well, there isn't any, or there wasn't anybody that he could choose and appoint. And right now, the Baha'is are democratically electing members called Universal Laws of Justice, and they're handling the affairs of the faith, and everything is written in a book. There isn't really no need for anything else. Yeah, there is a dire need. There has to be a universal laws of guardianship composed of 5 women elected by the Baha'is. If these two houses, they don't work together, the universal laws of justice will not be able to handle the responsibility of the guardianship, which is the interpretation of the faith. Therefore, they collapse, and they have made a lot of mistakes. I break some of it to you today, that there is really no universal laws of justice, functional universal laws of justice. There is universal laws of justice, but it's like a little kid. Like a king died and a little baby son has become the king, but he can't, govern. This is why he has these elders, Baha'u'llah, 5 of them, to help this baby to grow up. They are not me, universal laws of justice. They are the real authority. I'm just a guide. I'm like Aristotle. I'm the tutor of Alexander, but he's the king. I'm nobody. I'm just a philosopher, whatever. So, but a very close study in the Baha'i Faith will find that actually there are more guardians than what we think besides Shoghi Effendi. I'll bring you 2 references of it today. One of them is the famous one from Abdul-Baha in the Some Answered Question, page 57. He says, and I quote, "In each cycle, the guardians," please pay attention, the S means guardians, there's more than one. "The guardians and the holy souls have been 12. So Jacob had 12 sons in the time of Moses. There were 12 heads of chief of the tribes. In the time of Christ, there were 12 apostles. In the time of Muhammad, there were 12 imam. But in this glorious manifestation, there are 24, double the number of all others. The greatness of this manifestation requires it. These holy souls are in the presence of God, seated in their own throne, meaning that they reign eternally. Elders, which I'm one of them, are the requirement. If these 5 elders are not there, Baha'i Faith is incomplete. Because that's what it says. And I bring you attention to these people. He calls them guardians. He calls them holy souls. It says the greatness of this manifestation requires it. They are in the presence of God, sit in their own throne. They reign eternally. Sit in the throne of the everlasting rule. Worshipper the appearance of the universal manifestation. They're humble and submissive. They're interpreter of writing. This is, of course, in the Shoghi Effendi's word. They are the future generation of interpreters. That's, again, in the word of Shoghi Effendi. Even Universal Laws of Justice says the future guardians are clearly envisaged and referred to in their writings. It's a Light of Guidance, page 3 and 1-3. So it's clearly, with a reference to the word elder, which is in the Bible, you have to refer to this Sum Answered Question 57, you'll find out. These 24 elders, they were asking Abdul-Baha, what is it? For the first time in the Sum Answered Questions, he answered it, and the book was published in English, and Persian. So really the difference between elder and prophet of God is that Baha'u'llah has a specific, as he says in the book of Sirtir, a specific revelation. He's infallible, and he has to found a way, a new revelations. Elders of God are the same way. They understand themselves, who they are, just like as Baha'u'llah knows by instinct who he is. Elders are in the same way, but they don't have the mission to create a new revelation, a new faith, a new religion. But their real job, sole job, responsibility is to help Baha'u'llah. All the letters of the living were not allowed even to talk to each other about the Bab. The first 18, they have to find it in their own. This is the difference. They cannot be appointed. It's kind of a self-appointment. I'm one of the lazy ones, because Abdul-Baha in the dream told me that, scolding me. He said, many times I told you you're one of these 24. Just do something about it. So, going back, then they ask him, again, in Persian also, there is another things from Abdul-Baha. It's called, it is in a book, this actually Universal Laws of Justice sent it to me, but it is in the Ma'ide Osmani. It's a book that this is written in it. He said, but in this, I read in Persian, ولی در این ظهور اعظم دو برابر آنانند در این دور بدی 18 حروف حی و ذات مقدس حضرت اعلی که جمعا 19 نفر می‌گردند. و همچنین 5 نفس مقدس مبارک دیگر که حال ذکر ایشان حکمت اقتضا ننماید بعد ظاهر و آشکار شود. He says, just paraphrasing, he says, in this great manifestations, there are twice as the past. In this dispensation, 18 letters of the living and the Bab altogether become 19. And 5 others, he says, holy people, that their mention at this time is not required. The wisdom says it's not wise to talk about it. So, Shoghi Effendi, referring to the same word in this Persian I just told you and paraphrased it in English, this is what he says in the Light of Guidance, page 509. He says, regarding the 24 elders, the master in a tablet stated that they are the Bab, the 18 letters of living, and 5 others who would be known in the future. So far, we do not know who these 5 others are. It's a very, 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 very important point. Shoghi Effendi says, we do not know who these 5 others are, meaning I myself don't know it, he says. And this was done around, I think, 1957, around the last year of his life. And I was born 1 year before that, he says. Okay, now I'm going to go to this page 2. So far we found out there are 24 guardians and holy souls. And Abdul-Baha says they are the Bab and 18 letters, so is Shoghi Effendi, and they talk about 5 others who will come in the future. When I brought this matter in 1995 to the Universal Laws of Justice and declared to them I'm one of the elders, they told me that I'm wrong. In fact, they've said, tell to Mr. Temori he is misguided about the elders. Wow. I asked the counselor in charge, Mr. Qadirian, who was a man in Montreal, used to be those days. I said that, okay, I believe in universal laws of justice, whatever they say. But could you help me out? Could you guide me? Where is my mistakes? I want to know. He sent me some letters, which I have one of them here, and I'm going to read it for you. It's on my website, it's right here. Their letter. They said, well, there's only 4 elders left, not 5. I said, is that so? I said, yeah. I said, is that my mistake? He said, no, if you don't know how many elders are there, I could be an elder. I said, okay. He said, yeah, I have some letters and stuff from the Universal Laws of Justice. Send it to me, and I took it down onto my website. You can go at the document on my website, 5elders.com, to find it. And this is what they say, and I'm not going to repeat everything here. They said that Abdul-Baha has appointed or recognized, or whatever way you want to see, another elder. They call it the 20th elder. This man, Mirza Taqi Khan Wakil al-Dawla, was the cousin of the Bab, a wealthy man from Shiraz who spent all his money to build the first Baha'i temple in Russia, in Ashgabat. Those days, Turkmenistan was a part of Russia. And we know that after that it was destroyed and everything else. So for Abdullah was this very important. It was a very, very special individual, this man. They call him the smiley one. He always smiled, He would fix the situation, really had the blood in the gene of Bab. So Abdul-Baha says one of them is him, okay? And therefore, tell to Mr. Temuri, yes, there were 5, 19, Bab and 18, 19. This is the 20th one. Therefore, there's 5 only, okay? And they said these kind of things. The heading says, the 20th elder. As to the total number of the elders, this is 20th March 1995, page 4 of this. As to the total number of the elders who have to date been identified, the 20th elder was named by Abdul-Baha in Adib Taherzadeh, The Revelation of Baha'u'llah. There is the following. And then it says, should Mr. Temuri wish to learn more about this 20th elder, the cousin of the Bab, he is referred to in the Memorial of Faithfuls, the book of Abdul-Baha, page 126-29, and the God Passes By, page 268. God Passes By, written by Shoghi Effendi. I refer to all the 3 books. None of them, they say that he is the 20th elders. They just say that by Adib Taherzadeh, his own word, that he is been appointed as an elder. But Shoghi Effendi and Abdul-Baha, Shoghi Effendi does not call him in the Memorial of Faithful that he is a 20th elder. None of these references was there. Now, there's a problem. Okay, and I tell you this was also in the Persian book. They brought this Universal Laws of Justice, send me this. In another tablet, in the same book, Mahdi Asmani, Abdul-Baha says, you have asked about these 5 people. This is a follow-up question. First, he said, who are the 24 elders, which he said 19 of them. In the follow-up about who are the other 5, Abdul-Baha says this. You have asked about these 5 people. One of them is Haji Mirza Muhammad Taqi of Afnan. And 4 others, 4 will be explained, will be told what they are. This is in the volume 9, page 129. So Universal Laws of Justice said, look, Abdul-Baha says Mirza Taqi Haji Afnan, who built the Mashruq al-Askar, he's one of the elders, and Abdul Baha says 4 others will come. So there's 4 Abbas. There is no 5 that you're saying. Therefore, right there, they started to doubt that I am not an elder. Okay. I told them that there is a problem on what you're saying. Many problems. We know in the Baha'i Faith always in any given subject, whether a person, whether a tablet, whether a name, any subject, always the latest one has to be accepted, not the previous one. This is just a rule of thumb, both in Islam and the Baha'i Faith. Bab says first, I am the representative Imam, and then he says, I am the 12th Imam. Then he says, I am the Prophet of God, and this is a new religion. Then he says, I'm the manifestation of God. We do not take those first statements of him. That was a strategy that he wanted to collect good people. He didn't want them to go away because of their bad faith, bad understanding. But they were good-hearted people. Brought them in and told them what the reality is. Baha'u'llah is the same thing. You read the tablet of Ahmad. He says that follow and obey the ordinance of God in the book of Bayan. But then Baha'u'llah reveals the Baha'i Faith, and he says everybody has to follow Kitab al-Aqdas. So you cannot say that Baha'u'llah said you have to follow the rules of Bab in Bayan. That's an old one. A new statement is when Kitab al-Aqdas comes, when Baha'u'llah says, he says that religion of the past, Bab, and the book of the Bab is all abrogated. He himself in Kitab al-Aqdas, you read it, he says the obligatory prayers is 9 rakat. Rakat means session, like a standing, supplicating hand, and bowing down or prostrating is 1 session, 9 sessions. But it was stolen, given it was a covenant breaker, took it away, lost, and Baha'u'llah revealed the new obligatory prayer. So the new obligatory prayer is the standard. The old one, even if it is found, is not acceptable. That's in the writing. So, same story is with Abdul Baha. Abdul Baha says, Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the cause of God, has to appoint his own successor after him, or else there will be differences among the Baha'is. Shoghi Effendi did not do that. Shoghi Effendi didn't. But we take the update, and we don't try to interpret things also. That's what the fact is. So, this question, Universal Laws of Justice, answered in his letter again to me. As to your 4th question, what Mr. Adib Tarzadeh has written about the Haji Mirza Taghi is correct. This was stated by then they said, if Shoghi Effendi, in letters written by him or on his behalf to the friends in the West, chose not to set forth the reference made by Abdul Baha to the station of Haji Mirza Muhammad Taghi, there must surely have been a divine wisdom in his decision. In response to Mr. Taimuri's question, as of the present date, 4 of the 24 elders remains to be identified. And this is the writing. And I don't know how much can you see it. So, now I said there's a problem. Number 1, we have to take what Shoghi Effendi says about this, not what is written in Abdul Baha's statement. This is the rule of thumb. Then, they say that the matter was gone to Universal Justice. Why Abdul Baha says 4 and why Shoghi says 5? They prefer the word of Abdul Baha over the Shoghi. They take Abdul Baha's word correct to be 4, and they say Shoghi, his 5 means 4. He just didn't want to mention the Mr. Mirza Taghi Khan, the builder of the Baha'i temple in Ashgabat. Abdul Baha, they're politely, they say Abdul Baha just forgot it, didn't know about it. And then they made reference to me to go to the book of Shoghi Effendi about this Mirza Taghi Khan, the builder of the Bab, is there. If it is there and Shoghi knows about this, why would he say 5? So you are saying Shoghi is wrong? Or you're trying to interpret? Well, interpretation is not the job of universal laws of justice. It's wrong. They cannot interpret. They are saying it, and I'll bring it to you. So what do we do about this? Why don't you use this wisdom to the writing of Abdul Baha? Say there must be a wisdom in Abdul Baha saying there is 4. Not there is a wisdom in Shoghi Effendi's word. Why are you trying to defer to the writing of Abdul Baha and leave Shoghi Effendi's 5 incorrect? Why? Because you think he's not as good as Abdul Baha? See, it doesn't make sense. There is quite a big reason to doubt that writing from Abdul Baha. The person who has compiled this book is the greatest Baha'i scholar, Mr. Abdul Hamid Ashraf Khavari. He says in the beginning of the book, I have seen these tablets among the Baha'is without reference, without comparison, and find out where the original is. I just wrote it. There might be mistakes, he says in it. He says that. This is the source of this writing. There is no original of this. All they send it to me, a page from this book. And Abdul Baha did not have an scribe to write his letter on his behalf. So this must be in the writing of Abdul Baha. Where is it? And even if there is, so what? We cannot take the word of Abdul Baha about 4. We have to take the word of Shoghi Effendi. Abdul Baha said also Shoghi Effendi has to have a successor. Otherwise there will be different Shoghi Effendi didn't. Because Abdul Baha and Baha'u'llah, it's all in the writing. The last word, the last statement about any given subject is only the updated one is correct in the Baha'i Faith. The previous one, you could say why and whatnot. So, there's a problem right here. So let's see. So far we found out Shoghi Effendi did the universal laws of justice interpret that the 5 of Shoghi means 4. There must be a wisdom in why didn't he mention it. And then they changed the 5 into 4. Let's see what they say. These are the first about the interpretation. These are the words of in the writing. Light of Guidance, page 310. Thirdly, there are those prerogatives and duties which lie exclusively within the sphere of the guardian himself. Such a function is that of the authoritative interpretation of the teaching. Light of Guidance, page 310. If you say this yourself, universal laws of justice, why do you then interpret the writing of Shoghi Effendi? That is 5 means 4. And you're taking word of Abdul Baha to be the right number, not the word of Shoghi Effendi. You say Shoghi Effendi purposely said 5. He should have said 4. That's what it is. He didn't want the people in the West to know about the builder of Baha'i temple in Russia. If it is so, why in God passes by bring his name up? And he says he has built the one. So this is totally childish. Now, it says you cannot change. Universal laws of justice says you cannot change the word of Shoghi Effendi. Here is this. The guardian reveals what the scripture means. His interpretation is a statement of the truth which cannot be varied. That's what Shoghi Effendi says. So the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Netherlands 9th March of 1965, the book called Election and Infallibility of the Universal Laws of Justice, page 56. They say it cannot be varied, but they vary it. This is one of the examples, by the way. There are more. I'm just right now on this subject. Then again, it's they themselves, is the Word of Universal Laws of Justice. Message of the Universal Laws of Justice, page 42, in 1968, 1973. Quote, in reality, the interpreters of the word is an extension of that center which is the word itself. The book is the record of the utterance of Baha'u'llah, while the divinely inspired interpreter is the living mouth of that book. It is he and he alone who can authoritatively state what the book means. You say this, and then you say there can't be 5 elders, has to be 4. You say that, but you change it. It seems that this is the word of a child. A child is talking. Okay? Moreover, they cannot interfere in the matter of the guardianship. I will bring these things to you again. Now, let's read the word of Universal Laws of Justice itself. First of all, Shoghi Effendi says in page 148 in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, each operates within clearly defined sphere of jurisdiction. Each exercises within the limitations imposed upon it, its power, its authority, its right and prerogative. It means between the Universal Laws of Justice and the institution of guardianship. Then Universal Laws of Justice says, in the book called Covenant, page 20. Third, we must not forget the Guardian written statement about these two institutions. Neither can nor will ever infringe upon the sacred and prescribed domain of the others. But you just did it. You just interfered in the word of Shoghi Effendi. It says 5 is 4. Then again, quote, however, quite apart from his function as a member of the sacred head for the Universal Laws of Justice, the guardian functioning within his own sphere had the right and duty to define the sphere of this legislation actions of the Universal Laws of Justice. In other words, he had the authority to state whether a matter was or was not already covered by the sacred text, and therefore whether it was within the authority of the Universal Laws of Justice to legislate upon it. Well, you say he's the authority. The authority says there's 5 elders. And remember, he says we do not know who these 5 others are. We includes him and anybody else. So you can't say what that elder that was appointed by Abdul-Baha is interfering with this. Still, he says it's 5. You cannot call him 20th, as in there are 4. That's interpretation. That's infringing upon, okay? But the biggest things, brothers and sisters, is that when they tell me that, the Universal Laws of Justice, after I told them that, to Mr. Ghadirian, that this is wrong, because you're changing the word of Shoghi Effendi. You're not taking the last update and you're backtracking retroactively, trying to say Abdul-Baha is over the word of Shoghi Effendi. It should be other way around. Okay, you're dismissing the authority of Shoghi Effendi. And that's not the way the case is in the Baha'i Faith. There are many, I just mentioned a few of them to you. Secondly, you're interpreting why Shoghi Effendi said 5 and not 4. This why, it means interpretation. This why he did that is infringing on. This was wrong. But the major problem, I told him, is that although Abdul-Baha added 1 new elder, don't call him 20th, just a person called an elder, is because one of those 18 letters of the living was disqualified by Baha'u'llah. So 1 was gone, 1 replaced that 1. So in this case, This new so-called elder appointed by Abdul-Baha was a replacement of one that was gone before. He said, oh yeah? And I got on the phone, I talked to Adib Taharzadeh, the guy who translated the Baha'i writing, and I bring it for you. Many mistakes he made in translation, a lot of things. He has mistaken Tablet of Hikmat, he has mistaken translating part of the Epistle to Son of the Wolf, he has mistaken the Tablet of Splendors. I've done this thing, dig these things down. This is my job. So I said, how so? I said, read the book called Epistle to Son of the Wolf about the Hadi Ghazvini, who was a letter of the living. This guy, he's the only guy who survived. I mean, there were a few others, but he was survived from the fort of Tabarsi. He didn't go there. He joins Azal, which is the arch enemy of Baha'u'llah. He disputes Baha'u'llah. He tells me you're false. And he takes Azal, one of the stupidest individuals on the planet Earth. I really cannot see this man to be called human, just talking animal. The way he talks, you know. He joins him. And then he says the Bayan is incomplete. He starts a new sect. He says, I'm going to destroy the entire copies of Bayan everywhere. And this is the elder, this is the letters of the living saying these things. It's very important. Let me tell you what happens here. When you talk about elders, it's different than when you're talking about letters of living. Letters of living is a title given by the Bab to his 18 followers. In this regard, Hadi Ghazvini is a Babi. He is the man of God. He is the letter of living. However, he didn't cross the bridge to become a Baha'i. He became enemy of the Baha'i Faith, not just a simple non-Baha'i. As a result, if you're at the time of Bab, there are 5 elders, because Hadi Ghazvini is innocent. We don't know yet. When Baha'u'llah comes, he fades away. So this is why this 20th elder, that they call him 20th, it should not be. It's just a replacement. It's like a light that started from the Bab, it fades. When it comes to the Baha'i Faith, this responsibility is taken over by Haji Mirza Taqi Khan, Wakil al-Dawla, the cousin of the Bab. So one goes, one comes back. Still there's 5 elders. This is the true interpretations. So Adib Taharzadeh said, oh no, all these elders, to me said on the phone, all these elders, we don't know who was who. I said, no. Sir, don't talk like that to me. What you're saying is that you're just a translator. We're different. You know, there are things all of us are made for. This part is not untrue. When you study the letters of the living, there were 3 of them that you could say the first one was delinquent. One is called Roze Khan Yazdi. This fellow was scared. He never said he's not a Babi. He never went against the cause of God. He just went and married one of the relatives of Haji Karim Khan, who was the enemy of Bab. But he married one of their daughter to be safe. But even in the historical book is written, whenever he would find occasion that he could see that there's somebody to hear, to talk, he would tell them about the Bab. He never denied the Bab. He stayed as a letter of living. There is no record in the Baha'i Faith that he's been cast off. He's been excommunicated. There's nothing like that. The second one, that was also delinquent, is Hassan Bajestani, which in the translation of the book they've written Hossein Bajestani. It's actually Hassan Bajestani. This man says to Baha'u'llah, sir, what Bob says about the letters of the living and everything else, I see myself, it's not in me. Baha'u'llah tell him, letters of the living is gone. Now there's Baha'i Faith. Even the Bab is my elder. The letters of the living have become my elder. He tells him that the farmer wants to water and irrigates the crop, but the wheat grows up to alongside of it. Basically calls him a wheat. But he is not being denied. He has not been excommunicated. He was not a malicious, vicious man. He was just a confused person. That's all. But the third one, this third one, Hadi Razvini, was a malicious individual, and I bring the writing of Baha'u'llah and then tell you what they are. This is all in the Epistle to Son of the Wolf. English translation is there. I quote, O Hadi, his book, which he had entitled Mustayghaz, is in thy possession. Read it. Although thou hast seen the book, pursue it again, peruse it again, that haply thou mayest obtain for thyself a lofty seat beneath the canopy of the truth. Azal wrote a book called Mustayghaz. In the book, he ordered few of the great Babis to die. He ordered them to be killed. One of them was Dayan, the third person, the third believer of Baha'u'llah. Out of jealousy, he says it has to be killed. Bob calls him, you're the third person to believe in Baha'u'llah. The third who recognize whom God shall make manifest. Baha'u'llah told him to read his book to see who he is and what he has done. Then again he tells him, O Hadi, thou hast gone unto my brother, and hast seen him. Set now thy face towards the court of this wronged one, that haply the breeze of revelation and the breath of inspiration may assist thee and enable thee to attain thy goal. He says, you've gone to my brother, you've seen Yahya, Yazad, now come to us, associate with us. He might change your mind. He advises him. Then he tells him that thou hast summoned and art still summoning the people, claiming to be his vicegerent and mirror, despite thine ignorance of this cause as a result of thy not having been in our company. He says, you are trying to say to the people that you are in charge of the Bab. And you're all ignorant about what we have revealed to come and see it for yourself, because you haven't been in our company and you claim these things. Come here, he says. The third one, O Hadi, suffer not thyself to become the instrument for the disseminations of the new superstitions, and refuse to set up once again a sect similar to that of the Shiites. So you're going to do the same thing Shiites, they create new sects. Because he wanted to create a new sect, that the bayan is not complete, it has to be destroyed, and I'm going to create a new one. Tell him to stop. Then again, Baha'u'llah says, O Hadi, be not willing that men be again afflicted with the vain imaginings of the former times. Fear God, and be not of them that act unjustly. In these days we have heard thou hast striven to lay hand and destroy every copy of the bayan. Fear God, and meddle not in the matter which far transcendent thee. For 1200 years, they that resemble thee have afflicted the helpless Shiites in the pit of vain fancy and idle imagining. You tell them you're exactly like those divines in the Shia religion that they killed the Bab. You're doing the same thing, he says to them. Then gradually Baha'u'llah goes harder on him. Again I quote, same book. The companion of God and the testimony of him who is the truth, have for the most part suffered martyrdom. Thou, however, art still alive. How is it that thou hast been spared? I swear by God, it is because of thy denial. Whereas the martyrdom of the blessed soul, who, due to their confession, every just and fair-minded person will bear witness unto this, inasmuch as the cause and motive of both are clear and evident as the sun. He says, you denied the Bab. That's why they spared you. See? But then, in a Persian book called Asrar al-Asar, The Secrets of the Writings, page 355, he says this to him: fear God, O thou who hast joined partner with God, turned aside from his glory, repudiated his sign. Thou hast taken Baal, which is one of the name of the Satan, which is in this case is Azal. Thou hast taken Baal as thy Lord. He says you have taken Baal, which is Azal, as your Lord. Then finally tell him to another person about him. He says, when thou seest the letter H, meaning Hadi, Hadi starts with H, say unto him, O thou the H of the hell. The word in Arabic is Haviye. Haviye means hell. It says the H of Hadi, which is your name, is the H of that hell. Thou hast disportest thyself. You're happy. And the primal point, the Bab, cries from your deed. O thou who dost associate a partner with God and doubtest. Same book, page 252. How can we say there are four elders? If we say there are four elders, as Universal Laws of Justice wants to, then we have to put this guy as one of the elders. How could this man be the holy soul? And all attributes that I told you. How is this man in presence of God? He never came to Baha'u'llah. Repudiated. All those things Abdul-Baha says about the elders that I gave to you in the very beginning is completely opposite to this guy. I'm sorry, it's like bringing a beautiful food and a plate of feces beside it and tell him eat. It's just as bad. You want to call this man a holy soul? Because that's what it means. If you say there's four elders, you have to accept him as one of the 18, plus the new one as you believe, so then become 20, and then there's 4. So you see, when Universal wants to change the word of Shoghi Effendi from 5 to 4, this will be the result. That we have to accept this man, this is a statement of Baha'u'llah about him, as one of the elders. This is because Universal Laws of Justice cannot interpret. It should not infringe in the guardianship. They themselves say they shouldn't. They shouldn't change. When you do this, this is the result. Now, what are the use of all this thing? I'm not trying to confuse you or put down Universal Laws of Justice. I can't. Universal Laws of Justice is the invention of Baha'u'llah. It has to be there. It's an institution. But the members in there, they've gone with interpretations, and one of the wrong, false translator of this Mr. Adib Tarzadeh, whose English is much bigger than me, there's no doubt, but he does not understand the meaning of the book. If you don't understand the meaning, you cannot translate. The Baha'u'llah's writing is not a novel and a history book or something that you can translate. You have to understand what he means, what he says. Without it, you cannot translate. And there's done many mistakes. The tablet of wisdom too. It says nature is the will of God. Well, that's absolutely wrong. Nature is created by the will of God. If the nature is the will of God, then you're agnostic. But that's not what it says in the original. It's like a man in the kitchen has all the ingredients, all the things, but he can't even cook an omelette. Putting sentences together doesn't give you the meaning. There's several mistakes, Universal laws of justice is depending what he says. That's all. He says that it's big, and they don't know. Why? Because majority of the members of the Universal laws don't speak English. They have to rely on whatever the Persian they say. And that's what the case. I'll tell you what we have to do about this. So, this is the reason I'm the elder of God. Nobody before me has found this to come down and bring it up. What's the use of these things? If you do not accept what I tell you, then the 5 elders is not around. There is no authority to create the universal laws of guardianship. And I proved it today. I'm not your leader, I'm not your boss, but I'm the wise man who knows things, given by Baha'u'llah to me. For that, I'm not better than you. If anybody believes that I'm better than an ant, is wrong, because no one knows what his own end shall be. I always take my eldership as a punishment. God says, you know, you're a hot shot. I'm going to give you a responsibility. If you fail, you're in hell. Okay. I've tried to carry my responsibility. I reign eternally, remember. I haven't learned from man anything except information. I've learned no wisdom from anybody. I've seen their mistakes. That might say, retroactively, whatever, given me some wisdom how wrong they are, not the wisdom of what the right is. That I learned from Baha'u'llah. Nobody else. If you don't accept the elders, there is no authority to create the universal laws of guardianship, which are 5 women. And if they're not there, the word of Sharia Effendi kicks in. Divorce from the institution of guardianship will imperil the entire fabric of the Baha'i Faith. It says, and the necessary guidance for its elected representative will be withdrawn. This elected representative, they need a guidance, which would be the House of Universal House of Guardianship of 5 women elected by the Baha'is, where they use the science and logic to interpret things based on that universal laws of justice can safely lead the Baha'is. I'm not asking you to leave and disrespect universal laws of justice. Absolutely not. I'm not here to do that. I'm telling you that universal laws of justice is only one branch of the world order of Baha'u'llah. It's not all of it. I'll bring it to you again when I talk about the next session. The next pillar is the universal laws of guardianship. It has to be there, or it will not work. And if the world order of Baha'u'llah, which is the minor plan of God, if that is taken away, then this faith is just like the religion of the past. So Master Adib Taharzadeh is gone, but Fariduddin Radmer, you are responsible, sir. I'm telling you, you will die and then you will be sorry for this. Nader Saidi, you're responsible. Iraj Dostar, all of you guys, you will be the biggest loser. We gotta get together to fix it, to put this rail train on the rail. I have a plan. It can be working. I will explain to you what it is, and I ask you to come and help me. I'm frail now. I'm a conditional living man. I have to take metformin for my sugar. I have to take 2 other medicine, I don't know their names, to bring my blood pressure down. I have to take aspirin to thin my blood. I have to take Lipitor to cut the cholesterol. And I have to get Prevacid to bring my acid down. I don't do these things, I'm dead. And I'm 66 now. I don't have a lot of power. I still work though. But the time has come that I have to ask for help. We need to do something. So this was the second type of guardianship, the guardianship of the elders. Then the next session I will talk to you about the general guardianships after the elders died. That is also in the Baha'i Faith. Good night.